The Galactic Coalition Academy floated in the darkness of space like a small moon. It was home to thousands of cadets from dozens of alien species. They came here to learn how to fight, how to lead, and how to protect their worlds. Only the best of the best earned a place within its walls. Lieutenant Park stood at the observation window of her small quarters. She watched the distant stars and thought about how far she had come. Earth was somewhere out there, millions of light years away. She had not seen her home planet in 4 years. Was 32 years old. She had short black hair and tired eyes that had seen too much death. Her body carried scars from 3 combat tours in the Outer Rim where she had fought pirates and slavers and things that had no names. She was not tall. She was not especially strong. But she was still alive, and many who had fought beside her were not. That meant something. She was also the only human in the Advanced Tactical Command Program. This was supposed to be an honor. Humans had only joined the Galactic Coalition 200 years ago. They were the youngest species in the Alliance. Most aliens still thought of them as children who had just learned to walk among the stars. Being chosen for this program should have made proud. Instead, it made her a target. The door to her quarters opened. Commander Wu walked in without waiting for permission. He was the only other human stationed at the academy, and he had taken it upon himself to watch over her. He was 50 years old, with hair and a face full of old scars. He had been fighting in space before was born. "You should be sleeping," he said. "The defense drill is tomorrow." "I know," did not turn from the window. "I was thinking." "About what?" "About whether I belong here." Walked over and stood beside her. For a moment, they both looked out at the stars in silence. "You belong here more than any of them," he said finally. "You earned your place with blood. They earned theirs with family names and political connections." Smiled, but there was no happiness in it. That is not what they think. She thought about her first day at the academy, the way the other cadets had looked at her, with their 4 glowing eyes watching her like she was an insect, whose bodies were made of living crystal, towering over her and making her feel small, and with their silver scales and sharp teeth, who did not even try to hide their hatred. One of them had spoken to her directly, a male named. His scales had turned dark red, which she later learned meant anger or disgust. "Humans should not be here," he had said. "Your species barely learned to travel between stars. You are children playing at war. Go home before you embarrass yourself." Had said nothing. She had learned long ago that words were cheap. Only actions mattered. Only results proved what you were worth. But the memory still burned inside her. "There is something I need to tell you," said. His voice had become serious. "About the defense drill tomorrow." Finally turned to look at him. "What about it?" "The drill is unsupervised. Cadets enter the simulation chamber alone. They are monitored by cameras, but no instructors are present inside." He paused. "Accidents happen." Understood what he was saying. "You think someone will try to hurt me?" "I know they will." Reached into his pocket and pulled out a small data chip. "I have sources among the maintenance staff. They hear things. 4 cadets have been planning something for weeks. They want to teach the human a lesson." "Who?" "The 2 named Sung and 1, and a female named Min." He pressed the data chip into her hand. "This contains everything I could find about them. Their fighting styles, their weaknesses, their training records." Looked at the chip. It felt heavy in her palm. "Why are you helping me?" His eyes grew distant. 20 years ago, I was the first human to attend this academy. They did the same thing to me during my defense drill. 4 cadets. They thought it would be easy." He touched a long scar that ran from his forehead to his jaw. "They were wrong, but I still carry the mark." "What happened to them?" "2 of them never walked again. 1 lost an eye. The 4th," he smiled grimly. "The 4th became a general. He still hates humans, but he respects us now. Fear and respect often look the same." Closed her fingers around the data chip. "Thank you, Commander." "Do not thank me yet." Turned toward the door. "Surviving tomorrow is up to you. Just remember one thing." "What?" He stopped at the doorway and looked back at her. "They will expect you to fight like an alien, to follow their rules, their combat forms, their ideas of honor. Do not give them what they expect." "What should I give them instead?" Smile was cold and sharp. "Show them how humans fight. Show them why our species conquered a planet full of predators with nothing but sticks and stones. Show them that honor is a luxury for those who have never truly had to survive." Then he was gone and was alone with the stars. She spent the rest of the night studying the data chip. She learned everything about her four enemies, how they moved, how they thought, where their bodies were weak and where they were strong. By the time the artificial sun rose over the academy, she had not slept at all, but she was ready. Tomorrow they would try to break her. Tomorrow she would show them what a human could do. The simulation chamber was the largest room had ever seen. It stretched for 3 kilometers in every direction. The walls were made of dark metal that could change shape. The floor could rise and fall to create hills and valleys. The air could become hot or cold, thick or thin, depending on what the computers wanted to test. Today, the chamber had become a maze. Corridors twisted and turned in every direction. Some were bright with artificial light. Others were completely dark. There were rooms filled with fake equipment, empty hallways that led nowhere, and gravity wells that could pull you up or push you down without warning. Every cadet entered the maze alone from a different starting point. The goal was simple: reach the command center at the heart of the maze, upload a defense protocol to the main computer, then escape through one of the exit points before time ran out. The cadets with the highest scores would be promoted to leadership positions. The cadets with the lowest scores would be sent back to basic training. There was no room for failure. Entered through Gate 7. She wore a standard combat suit and carried a pulse rifle. The suit was not armor. It would not protect her from a serious attack. It was only meant to track her movements and record her performance. The rifle was set to training mode. It fired bolts of energy that would hurt but not kill. A direct hit would disable a limb for several minutes. 3 hits would knock you unconscious. Moved carefully through the corridors. Her footsteps made no sound on the metal floor. Her eyes searched every shadow for movement. Her ears listened for any noise that did not belong. She had been walking for 30 minutes when she realized something was wrong. The maze was too empty. She had passed through dozens of corridors and rooms. She had seen fake terminals and locked doors and environmental hazards, but she had not seen a single other cadet. In a simulation this large, with over 100 participants, that should have been impossible. Unless someone had cleared this section on purpose, unless someone wanted her to be alone. Stopped walking. She pressed her back against a wall and controlled her breathing. Her neural implant, a small computer chip in her brain that all human soldiers received, began feeding her information. Heat signatures, 4 of them, moving in formation. They were coming from 3 different directions at once, 1 from the north, 2 from the east, 1 from the south. They had surrounded her. Checked her rifle, it was fully charged. She had not fired a single shot. That was good. She would need every bolt. She waited. The first one to appear was. He walked out of the northern corridor like he owned the entire station. His silver scales had changed color. They were now matte black, which meant he was ready for battle. His yellow eyes glowed in the dim light. Behind him came the 2, Sung and 1. Their bodies were made of living crystal, dark purple and hard as steel. They were each over 2 meters tall. Their arms could change shape into blades or hammers or whatever form they needed. They moved with the confidence of beings who had never lost a fight. Heard footsteps behind her. She did not need to look. She knew it was Min. Her species had 4 eyes that could see in complete darkness. She was the one who had tracked through the maze. She was the reason they had found her so easily. There was no way out, was trapped. Lieutenant Park said. His voice was smooth and polite, but his eyes were full of hatred. What a surprise to meet you here. 4 against 1, kept her voice calm. Is this how they show their courage? This is not about courage, stepped closer. His claws clicked against the floor. This is about teaching you a lesson. Humans do not belong among their betters. You should have stayed on your little blue planet and played with your primitive toys. And if I had, then we would not need to hurt you, he smiled, showing teeth that could bite through metal. But you came here. You thought you could stand beside species that have ruled the stars for thousands of years. You were wrong. Said nothing. Her eyes moved between and the two. Behind her, she could hear Min moving closer. When this is over, continued, they will find you unconscious and humiliated. Your scores will be the lowest in Academy history, and everyone will finally understand that humans are nothing but weak little animals who got lucky. Thought about Commander's words. They will expect you to fight like an alien. Do not give them what they expect. She thought about everything she had learned from the data chip. They had a weak point at the base of their throats, a cluster of nerves that controlled their entire body. They could not fight well when they were surprised. They depended on their superior eyesight and became confused when their targets moved in unexpected ways. 4 enemies, 4 weaknesses. Smiled. Scales flickered with confusion. Why are you smiling? Because you made a mistake, said. What mistake? You thought this would be easy. Then she moved, and the battle began. One was the first to attack. The warrior charged forward with speed that should have been impossible for a being made of crystal. His right arm stretched and changed shape, becoming a long blade that glowed with purple light. The blade could cut through metal walls. It could slice a human body in half without slowing down. Any normal fighter would have jumped backward. Any trained soldier would have raised their weapon and tried to shoot. That was what one expected. That was what he had prepared for. Did neither. Instead of running away, she ran toward him. She moved inside the arc of his blade before he could complete his swing. Her left hand caught his wrist at the joint where crystal met crystal. Her right hand drove forward like a spear, striking the neural cluster at the base of his throat. The data chip had told her exactly where to hit. The neural cluster was a weak point that no would ever share with outsiders. They believed it was their greatest secret. They never thought a human would know about it. Once body went rigid. His nervous system shut down like a machine that had lost power. His eyes, normally bright with inner light, went dark and empty. He could not move. He could not speak. He could not even fall down. He was frozen in place like a statue. Total time, 1 second. Sung roared with surprise and anger. He had never seen anyone defeat a warrior so quickly. He charged forward, his arms transforming into massive hammers that could crush stone. But was ready. She grabbed once frozen body and pulled it in front of her. The paralyzed was heavy, but combat training had made her stronger than she looked. She used him as a shield. Sung could not stop his charge in time. His crystal hammers smashed into his own teammate with a sound like breaking glass. Once body flew backward and crashed into the wall, finally falling to the ground. Before Sung could recover, was already behind him. She jumped onto his back and wrapped her arms around his throat. She squeezed with all her strength, cutting off the flow of energy that kept his body alive. At the same moment, a bright flash of light came from behind her. Min had fired her neural disruptor. It was a weapon that attacked the brain directly. A single hit would cause so much pain that most beings would pass out instantly. But had been expecting this. She had positioned herself carefully. When the bolt struck, it hit Sung instead of her. The screamed, a terrible sound that echoed through the corridor. His crystal body cracked in a dozen places as his nervous system overloaded. Then he collapsed, unconscious and defeated. 2 enemies down, 4 seconds since the fight began. Stared at her with wide eyes. His scales changed color rapidly, cycling through shades that did not recognize. Fear, she thought, confusion, disbelief. "What are you?" he whispered. Dropped from Sung's back and faced him. Blood ran down her arm where she had cut herself on the sharp edges. She did not feel the pain. She did not have time for pain. "I am human," she said, "and you have no idea what that means." Behind her, Min was trying to reload her weapon. Thus 4 eyes were darting in every direction, trying to predict where would move next. Her species was used to being able to see everything. They were used to knowing what their enemies would do before they did it. But did not fight like anything Min had ever seen. Her movements were strange and unpredictable. She did not follow any combat form or fighting style that the Academy taught. She moved like water, flowing from one position to another without pause. Min raised her weapon and fired. Was already gone. She had thrown herself to the side at the exact moment the trigger was pulled. The bolt passed through empty air and struck the wall behind her. Then did something that should have been impossible. Instead of running away from Min, she ran toward the wall. She jumped, pushed off the metal surface with her feet, and flew through the air like a missile. Min tried to track her with her weapon, but it was too late. His boot struck the side of her head with enough force to spin her around. The dropped her weapon and stumbled backward, all 4 eyes seeing nothing but stars. Landed on the ground and swept Min's legs out from under her. The crash to the floor. Before she could get up, struck her sensory cluster, the small bump at the back of her skull that processed information from her 4 eyes. Min went limp, her eyes dimmed and closed. 3 enemies down, 8 seconds since the fight began. Only remained. Turned to face him. She was breathing hard. Sweat ran down her face. The cut on her arm was bleeding freely now, leaving red drops on the metal floor. But she was smiling. "You studied human history," she said, walking toward him. "You learned about our wars, our weapons, our journey to the stars, but you never learned the most important thing about us." Scales had turned pale, his voice shook when he spoke. "What thing?" "We never stop fighting," raised her fists. "Not until we win, not until every enemy is down, not until the threat is completely destroyed." She took another step forward. "Your species has ruled the stars for 10,000 years. You think that makes you strong, but strength means nothing if you have forgotten how to fight for your life." Another step. "Humans have not forgotten. We can never forget. It is written in our blood and burned into our bones." She was close enough to touch him now. "Now," she said, "let me show you what a human can do." Was a warrior. His species had evolved on a world where everything wanted to kill you. The plants were poison. The water was acid. The animals hunted in packs and never stopped chasing their prey. Only the strongest and fastest survived long enough to have children. 10,000 generations of natural selection had made them perfect predators. Their scales were harder than steel. Their claws could tear through armor. Their reflexes were so fast that they could catch a laser beam if they saw it coming. By every measure that mattered was superior too. He was faster, stronger, and deadlier. His body was a weapon built by millions of years of evolution. Her body was soft and fragile, designed for a gentle world where the greatest danger was falling out of a tree. And yet, as he looked into her eyes, he felt something he had not felt since he was a child. Fear. There was something wrong with this human, something that did not fit with everything he had been taught about her species. She should have been terrified. She should have been begging for mercy. Instead, she was smiling like a predator that had finally cornered its prey. Attacked. He moved faster than any human eye could follow. His claws slashed through the air where her throat had been a moment before, but she was not there. She had ducked under his arm and moved to his side. He spun and attacked again. This time his tail whipped around like a club, aiming for her legs. Most fighters would have jumped over it. She did not. She let it hit her. The impact knocked her off her feet. She hit the ground hard. Any other being would have stayed down, stunned by the pain. Rolled with the fall and came up swinging. Her fist connected with his primary respiratory organ, the large sac beneath his ribs that let him breathe. The air exploded out of his body. For a moment, he could not inhale. That moment was all she needed. She grabbed his tail before he could pull it back. Her fingers dug into the gap between his scales where the flesh was soft. Then she twisted. The pain was incredible, screamed and stumbled trying to pull away. But she held on with strength that seemed impossible for her small body. Her weight pulled him off balance. His feet slipped on the metal floor. He fell. The moment he hit the ground, she was on top of him. Her knee pressed against his throat. Her hands found the joints in his armor where his scales did not quite meet. She pressed down, and he felt his own body turning against him. "How?" he gasped. "How are you doing this?" "I studied you," she said. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "I learned where you are strong and where you are weak. I found the places where your perfect body fails." She pressed harder. He felt his vision starting to go dark. "But that is not why I am winning." "Then why?" She leaned close to his face. Her eyes were dark and deep, like the void between stars. "Because I am willing to do things you are not. I am willing to feel pain. I am willing to look weak. I am willing to fight dirty and break rules and do whatever it takes to survive." Blood from her wounded arm dripped onto his scales. She did not seem to notice. "Your species became the rulers of the galaxy because you were the strongest. You never had to struggle. You never had to face a challenge that could truly destroy you. Victory was your birthright." Her grip tightened. "Humans are different. We were born on a world that tried to kill us every single day. We were small and weak and slow. Everything was bigger than us. Everything was deadlier than us. We should have gone extinct 1,000,000 years ago." "But you did not," whispered. "No, we did not." Her smile was cold and hard. "Because we learned to fight without honor. We learned to use our enemies against each other. We learned that there is no such thing as a fair fight, only fights you win and fights you lose." She looked at his 3 fallen comrades, scattered around the corridor like broken toys. "You brought 4 warriors to fight 1 human. You thought the numbers would protect you. But numbers mean nothing when your enemy can turn your own strength against you." His body had stopped struggling. He did not have the energy left to fight. All he could do was listen. "Remember this moment," said. "Remember how it feels to be helpless. Remember that a single human defeated 4 of the galaxy's greatest warriors." She stood up and looked down at him. "And remember that I am not special. I am not the strongest human or the fastest or the... I am just a soldier who refused to give up." Tried to speak, but his voice would not work. His body was shutting down, overwhelmed by pain and exhaustion. "There are 8 billion more humans on Earth," continued. "Every single one of them has the same fire inside them, the same refusal to surrender, the same willingness to fight until the very end." She turned away from him and began walking toward the center of the maze. "You called us children playing at war, but children grow up, and when human children grow up, they become something the galaxy has never seen before." She did not look back. "They become survivors, and survivors always win." Behind her, eyes closed. His body went limp. The last thing he heard before unconsciousness took him was the sound of her footsteps, steady and sure, walking toward victory. The command center was exactly where the map said it would be. A small room at the heart of the maze, filled with glowing screens and humming computers. Walked through the door and felt her body finally begin to relax. Her arm was still bleeding. Her ribs ached from where his tail had struck her. There were bruises forming on her legs and back that would hurt for days, but she was alive. She was standing, and she had won. The upload took less than a minute. She plugged her data chip into the main terminal and watched as the defense protocol transferred to the Academy's central system. Numbers scrolled across the screen, confirming that her mission was complete. A soft chime sounded. A mechanical voice spoke from hidden speakers. Defense protocol uploaded successfully. Simulation score calculated. Lieutenant Park, highest score in Academy history. Congratulations. Allowed herself a small smile. Then she walked to the nearest exit and left the maze. Commander was waiting for her outside. He stood in the corridor with his arms crossed and his face unreadable. Behind him, she could see medical teams rushing past with floating stretchers. They were heading into the maze to collect the fallen cadets. Lieutenant Park said, "You look terrible." "Thank you, sir," wiped blood from her cheek. It had started to dry and was becoming itchy. It was a challenging exercise. "I can see that." He nodded toward the medical teams. 4 cadets required emergency treatment, 2 with severe neural damage, 1 with a concussion, 1 with 3 cracked ribs and a dislocated tail. The simulation was designed to test our response to threats. Met his eyes without flinching. I responded. For a long moment, said nothing. He just looked at her with those old, tired eyes that had seen too much death and too much war. Then slowly, a smile crept across his face. "Come with me," he said. "There is something you need to see." He led her through the Academy's corridors, past classrooms and training halls and dormitories filled with curious cadets. Everyone they passed stopped to stare at. Word of what had happened in the maze was already spreading. She heard whispers as she walked. Some were angry, some were afraid, but many were simply amazed. "Did you hear? The human beat 4 elite cadets by herself." "Impossible. There must be a mistake." "No mistake. I saw the footage. She used them against each other like they were toys." How could a human do that?" Led her to a large room at the top of the Academy. The walls were made of transparent material, giving a clear view of the stars outside. A dozen senior officers sat around a curved table. They were from different species, different worlds, different cultures, but they all had one thing in common. They were all looking at her. "Lieutenant Park," said the officer at the head of the table. He was with skin and eyes that had seen 1,000 battles. "Please sit down." Took the only empty chair. She sat straight and kept her hands folded in her lap. "We have reviewed the footage from today's exercise," they continued, "all of us, several times." He touched a control on the table. A holographic screen appeared in the air, showing the moment had taken down 1. The image froze at the exact second her hand struck his neural cluster. "In all my years of service, I have never seen anything like this. A single human cadet defeating 4 elite warriors from 3 different species, using techniques we have never encountered, moving in ways we did not think possible." He looked at her with his 4 ancient eyes. "How did you do it?" Thought for a moment before answering. "I studied them," she said. "I learned their weaknesses, and I used those weaknesses against them." "But where did you learn these techniques? The Academy does not teach humans how to attack neural clusters." "No, sir, the Academy does not." His voice was steady. "But humans have been fighting enemies larger and stronger than ourselves for 200,000 years. We have learned that knowledge is the greatest weapon. If you understand your enemy, you can defeat them." The officers exchanged glances. Some looked worried, others looked thoughtful. Commander spoke up. "There is something else the Council should know. Lieutenant Park did not start this fight. She was ambushed by 4 cadets who wanted to punish her for being human. They broke Academy rules. They attempted to cause serious harm to a fellow student." "We are aware," they said. "Those 4 cadets will face disciplinary action." "With respect, sir," continued, "that is not enough. This is the 3rd time in 5 years that alien cadets have attacked human students. The 3rd time they have tried to prove that humans do not belong here." He gestured toward, and for the third time, a human has proven them wrong. The room fell silent. The officers looked at each other, then at the frozen image of her defeating one. Finally, they spoke. Lieutenant Park, the Council has been discussing something for many months. We have been debating whether humans are ready for greater responsibilities within the coalition military, whether your species has what it takes to lead. He stood up and walked around the table until he was standing in front of her. After today, I believe we have our answer. He reached into his uniform and pulled out a small metal pin. It was shaped like a star with a circle around it. Recognized it immediately. It was the symbol of a task force commander, one of the highest ranks a tactical officer could achieve. This promotion is effective immediately, they said. You will command your own unit. You will be responsible for missions that the coalition considers vital to our survival. Stood and accepted the pin. Her hands were steady, but her heart was racing. Thank you, sir. Do not thank me yet. This expression was serious. You have proven that one human can defeat 4 aliens. Now you must prove that humans can lead aliens, that we can work together, that the coalition is stronger with your species than without it. Pinned the star to her uniform and stood at attention. I will not let you down, sir. Later that night, stood at the observation window of her new quarters. Commander stood beside her, just as he had the night before. You did it, he said. You changed everything. Watched the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was spinning through space. Her family was sleeping under the same sky she had watched as a child. This is just the beginning, she said. They gave me a command, but they still do not trust us. Not really. We are still strangers to them, children who got lucky. Then show them they are wrong. Put a hand on her shoulder. Show them what humans can do when we work together, when we fight for something greater than ourselves. Nodded slowly. They invited us to the stars because they thought we would be useful, she said. They thought we would be grateful. They thought we would know our place. She touched the new pin on her uniform. They have no idea what they have started, no idea what humans will become. Smiled, and that is exactly why we will succeed, because they are not afraid of us yet. They do not see us coming. Smiled back. By the time they do, it will be too late. Outside the window, the stars burned bright and cold, waiting for humanity to claim them. And far below, in the medical ward, 4 cadets woke up to a galaxy that had changed forever.